She's pulling away. Not physically, but emotionally. One word replies: cold energy, unavailable. The spark you used to feel is replaced with distance, and you're scared. You're wondering if she's losing interest. You're overthinking every message, checking your phone way too often. And deep down, you're asking yourself, what did I do wrong? But that's not the right question. The right question is, how do I stop being the man who loses her respect? Because that's what this is about. This video will shift your reality. I'm not here to sugarcoat. I'm here to show you why she started losing interest and how to get it back without begging, without chasing, and without losing your soul in the process. If this already speaks to you, drop a comment saying, "I won't beg again." And watch until the end, because this isn't just about women. It's about every relationship in your life. It's about your discipline, your leadership, your sense of self. Number 1. Stop validating her emotions. You constantly try to explain yourself, reassure her, comfort her when she's cold, keep the peace when she creates conflict, and hope she sees that you're different. But what you don't see is that every time you do this, you slowly destroy your own power in her eyes. You don't realize that by constantly validating her feelings, especially when those feelings are irrational, manipulative, or rooted in emotional instability, you're not building connection. You're confirming to her subconscious that you are insecure, reactive, and desperate for her approval. You're teaching her that her emotional outbursts and withdrawals are more important than your own peace and dignity. And whether you realize it or not, that's the moment she stops seeing you as a man. She starts seeing you as a utility, a safety net, a therapist, a backup plan. You become the man who's always available, always accommodating, always soft. And let me be clear that softness doesn't translate to love. It translates to weakness. Because love without boundaries becomes suffocating. Understanding without standards becomes submission. And attention without direction becomes desperation. You think you're being caring when you validate everything she says and feels. But in reality, you're sending a message that says, "Your emotions dictate my reality." And the moment she believes that, she starts testing you harder. She pulls away more. She pushes your buttons just to see if you'll flinch. She gives you less effort just to see if you'll chase harder. Because in her subconscious mind, she needs to know that you're not fragile. She needs to know that your validation comes from strength, not from fear. You may have grown up being told that listening, explaining, and understanding will fix everything in a relationship. But modern relationships don't work that way. In today's world, women are bombarded with attention. Every day they get messages, comments, validation from dozens of men. What sets you apart isn't how much you validate her. It's how little you need to. When she's emotional for no reason and expects you to explain yourself, you stay calm. You let her feel her emotions without trying to fix them. You don't engage in circular arguments. You don't beg to be understood. You stand tall in your silence and let her realize that not every storm needs your surrender. And when she accuses you of being cold, distant, or unloving because you didn't validate her every feeling, you don't flinch. Because you understand that your job is not to be her emotional crutch. It's to be her emotional anchor. That's the difference between reactive boys and grounded men. You don't earn her respect by agreeing with every feeling she has. You earn it by being rooted in your values, your truth, and your standards. You don't chase clarity when she's confusing. You become so clear in who you are that her chaos can't shake you. And the irony, the less you validate her irrational emotions, the more she starts questioning herself. The more she starts wondering what you're thinking, what you're feeling, and whether she still has your attention. That's when the dynamic shifts. She starts chasing your clarity. She starts leaning into your calm. She starts seeing you not as a man trying to keep her, but as a man she doesn't want to lose. So what do you do from here? You start small. The next time she's upset and trying to get a reaction from you, don't jump in. Let her feel what she's feeling. Don't argue. Don't over-explain. Don't validate what doesn't deserve validation. Just stay composed. The next time she pulls back emotionally, don't panic. Stay focused on your life. Stay focused on your mission. And most importantly, remind yourself that her approval isn't your oxygen. Your peace is not up for negotiation. Your emotional stability isn't something you compromise to avoid conflict. You are not responsible for fixing feelings that were never about you in the first place. And when you finally become the man who validates with discernment, not desperation, she feels it. And she changes. Not because you begged her to, but because she sees that you're no longer the man who puts her mood above your mission. You're the man who leads, regardless. You're the man who commands respect, not with force, but with unshakable presence. And that, more than anything, is what reignites her attraction. That's what makes her lean in again. Not the validation, but the strength that says, I won't lose myself to keep you. And if you're ready to take this even deeper, to build yourself into the kind of man who never again loses his peace to someone else's moods, then you need to get your hands on the Stoic Relationship Blueprint ebook for men. It's linked right now in the comments. Think about this. How many more nights do you want to spend replaying her words, doubting yourself, chasing answers that only leave you weaker? How much longer will you let your value be defined by someone who doesn't even respect it? This book gives you the framework, the mindset, the unshakable principles to reclaim your strength. Not just today, but for the rest of your life. Because once you own it, it's yours forever. It's not a temporary fix. It's a lifelong weapon. A guide you can always return to when life and relationships test you. If the last few minutes spoke directly to you, imagine having this entire system laid out in your hands, ready to use whenever you need it. Don't wait until you're broken again. Claim it now, keep it forever, and step into the man you were always meant to be. Number 2, pull back to create space. You're conditioned to believe that when someone pulls away from you, the solution is to run after them, to fix it quickly before they're gone for good. And this exact instinct is what guarantees they never come back. The moment she shifts from warm and affectionate to cold and unavailable, your mind floods with panic. You feel the loss before it even happens. You scroll through old messages. You replay conversations in your head, obsessively analyzing what you might have done wrong. And then you act. You text more, ask more questions, suggest a meetup, or drop subtle compliments hoping to reignite the closeness. But with every move you make toward her, you unknowingly confirm what she's already suspecting. That she holds the power now, that you've placed her on a pedestal so high you can't see straight anymore. And from that height, she looks down and sees not a man, but a servant. And no woman wants to be with a man she doesn't look up to. You think your pursuit will make her feel desired, but it only confirms your dependency. You hope your efforts show her you care, but it only reveals your need for her approval to feel whole. And here's the brutal truth. Once she senses that your emotional stability relies on her affection, she tests you harder, distances herself further, and subconsciously starts to detach. Because the truth is, emotional dependency kills attraction faster than betrayal ever could. It suffocates her feminine instinct to pursue, to submit, to respect. And that's why pulling back is not just an option, it's a requirement. But let's be clear, pulling back is not ghosting, disappearing out of spite, or playing emotional games. It's an intentional, powerful recalibration of the dynamic. It's you saying, I no longer overextend myself for someone who's unsure about me. It's you redirecting your energy towards something she cannot manipulate. Your mission, your growth, your purpose. Imagine this. She sends a vague, uninterested reply to your message. Instead of firing off another text, you put your phone down and go train, or you return to building the project you've been neglecting. She acts cold during a call. You don't ask why, you end the call gracefully and return to your priorities. She takes hours to reply. You take even longer. Not to match her petty energy, but to protect your own. Pulling back is about shifting the center of gravity back to where it belongs, inside of you. And in doing so, you become what she didn't expect, unmoved. When a man doesn't flinch in the face of feminine chaos, he becomes magnetic. She begins to question herself. Did I misread him? Why hasn't he followed up? Why do I feel him slipping away? And this doubt creates tension, the same kind of tension that made her curious about you in the first place. When she starts sensing that you're no longer emotionally invested in her unpredictability, her ego takes a hit, and that's when she starts pursuing again. That's when she starts showing up, not because you forced her, but because you created space. That space is not emptiness. It's your power. It's where your self-respect lives, where your peace regenerates, where your clarity sharpens. And from that space, you begin to see clearly. You realize how much of yourself you were giving to someone who wasn't reciprocating. You realize how much energy you were investing in fixing something that wasn't even broken. She was just testing your frame. And when you pass the test by not reacting, by staying still while she spins, that's when she remembers why she was drawn to you in the first place. Because women don't stay with men who chase. They stay with men they feel lucky to have. And pulling back creates the mystery, the tension, and the void that she instinctively wants to fill. So stop rushing to close the gap she created. Let her feel the consequences of emotional distance. Let her miss you. Let her wonder. And while she's caught up in curiosity, you get back to work. You build your body. You master your craft. You invest in yourself in ways you've been postponing. That's how you pull back, not just physically, but spiritually. And once you reclaim that space, you'll realize you don't just feel better, you feel powerful again. You feel like a man again. Not because she came back, but because you finally stopped abandoning yourself to chase someone who was testing your worth. And the moment you master this, you'll never need to chase again, because you'll know that space isn't something to fear. It's something to own. It's where the real transformation begins. Number 3, rebuild your frame. You've been walking through life like a man who's forgotten himself, operating from anxiety instead of confidence, reacting instead of leading, bending to fit expectations you never agreed to in the first place, and somewhere along the way, the version of you that used to command attention, that used to walk with purpose, that used to speak with conviction, he disappeared. You traded your edge for acceptance, your purpose for comfort, and your standards for the illusion of peace. And now you sit in silence, wondering why she doesn't look at you the same, why she's distant, cold, and uninterested. But the truth is, it's not just about her anymore. It's about the slow decay of your internal structure, the collapse of your core, your lack of principle, of routine, of mission. You are not respected because you do not respect your own time, your own word, your own body. You ignore the gym for screen time. You silence your voice to keep hers calm. You stay quiet in discomfort, agreeing with things you hate, to avoid conflict, to avoid being alone, to keep access to attention that feels like love but drains like poison. And the frame, your frame, that invisible structure that makes or breaks every dynamic you're in, is weak because you've handed control of it to emotions, to comfort, to her approval. You wonder why you get tested, why she questions your decisions, your direction, your masculinity. It's because she doesn't trust your ability to hold, She doesn't feel led. And when a woman doesn't feel led, she pulls away, not consciously at first, but biologically. Because nature built her to follow strength, to test for consistency, to push against weakness. And you're not failing because she's unfair. You're failing because you've given her leadership she never asked for and can't respect. Rebuilding your frame starts the moment you stop outsourcing your value. It begins when you get brutally honest with yourself about who you've become, and even more brutally honest about the man you once were. Were you more disciplined before she came into your life? Were your mornings more structured, your mission clearer, your ambition stronger? Did you command respect before you chased approval? That man isn't gone. He's just been suffocated. And to resurrect him, you have to go to war with the parts of yourself that keep choosing weakness. Start with your habits. Stop waking up when your phone tells you to. Get up when your principles say it's time to rise. Stop skipping the gym. Stop negotiating with your mind. Every rep you avoid is another layer of your frame that goes unbuilt. Then your language. Stop explaining every decision. Speak with clarity, not permission. A man doesn't need to justify every move when he moves with intention. If she questions your standards, you don't lower them, you reinforce them. Stop being scared to be misunderstood. Frame isn't about being liked, it's about being solid. Then your relationships. Stop hanging out with people who joke about how average you are. Stop sharing your goals with people who flinch at ambition. Surround yourself with men who live with precision, who build with obsession, who keep their word to themselves when no one is watching. That's your mirror. That's your environment. And most of all, your mission. The thing that lights you up when no one is watching. The thing that scares you because of how high it demands you aim. You need to get obsessed again, not with her, but with becoming undeniable. And when she senses that obsession, when she sees that your energy is no longer orbiting around her reactions, when she notices you're no longer waiting for her to engage before you lead, she changes. Not because you forced her, but because she feels safe again. Not comfortable, safe. There's a difference. Comfort makes her lazy. Safety makes her surrender. Women surrender to leadership they respect, and they respect frames that don't flinch. So if you want to rebuild yours, stop asking how she feels about your direction. Pick a direction so powerful that she has no choice but to lean in or step aside. And if she steps aside, let her. Your path is too important to slow down for someone who can't see the destination. Rebuilding your frame isn't an event. It's a way of life. It's how you eat, train, speak, show up, and walk into a room. It's the quiet discipline you keep when no one's watching. And when that discipline becomes non-negotiable, you become irreplaceable. Not just to her, but to yourself. And the man who is irreplaceable in his own eyes will never again chase validation from someone who hasn't earned his energy. That's how you rebuild. That's how you become solid. That's how she starts chasing again. Not the man you were, but the man you've become. Number 4, make her chase your attention. You've lived your life like your attention is free, like it has no cost, no value, no weight. And that is exactly why she doesn't respect it. Because from the moment you met her, you made her the center of your orbit. You gave her instant access, instant replies, instant attention. And without even realizing it, you conditioned her to see you as predictable, as easy, as the man who will always be there. And when something is always there, it loses its value. It becomes ordinary. And no woman desires what feels ordinary. She desires what feels rare, valuable, slightly out of reach, something she has to earn. And right now you are not that. You are the man who jumps when she calls. You are the man who replies before she even puts her phone down. You are the man who rearranges his entire schedule at the hint of her availability. And she feels that desperation in every interaction. She feels your neediness behind every word. And subconsciously she loses attraction, because attraction is built on tension. And tension only exists when there is uncertainty, when there is mystery, when there is pursuit. And you've destroyed that pursuit by giving her all of you without requiring her to earn any of it. And this is where most men fail, because they confuse availability with love. They confuse constant attention with commitment. But what they don't see is that women crave a man who is busy building, busy leading, busy creating a life she wants to be part of. Not a man who has all the time in the world because he has nothing else going for him. Have you ever noticed how she lights up when she feels like she has to win your time back, when you're harder to reach, when she's not quite sure what you're doing or why you haven't responded yet? That's not because she likes games. It's because women are wired to chase value, and value is never handed out freely. It's always scarce, always protected, always earned. And if you want to flip the dynamic, you have to start treating your attention as the most expensive currency you own, because it is. Your attention shapes her behavior. If you reward her distance with more attention, she gives you more distance. If you reward her coldness with warmth, she gets colder. But if you reward consistency, effort, respect with your presence, your time, your focus, she gives you more of it. That's how you retrain her subconscious, not with words, but with what you do and what you don't do. Imagine this. She sends you a one-word reply after taking hours to respond. And instead of sending 3 more texts, you don't reply at all until you're ready, until you're done with your workout, your project, your mission. Imagine she cancels a plan last minute, and instead of rescheduling instantly, you let it go and continue with your life, filling that time with something that actually builds you. Imagine she starts acting cold in conversation, and instead of pleading for closeness, you end the call politely and go back to your focus. This isn't about being cruel. This is about showing that your time and energy are not free. They are not limitless. They are not desperate for her. And when she feels that shift, when she realizes she no longer has the guarantee of your full attention, she starts chasing. She starts questioning if she still has access. She starts investing more because the balance has shifted. Because now she feels the possibility of losing what she once took for granted. And that's when you become attractive again, not because you tried harder, but because you stopped trying at all and started living. And this lesson isn't just about women, it's about life, because the people who get taken for granted are the ones who don't value themselves, the ones who give without standards, the ones who keep showing up without requiring reciprocity. And the moment you stop doing that is the moment you change every relationship you have. Start today. Set boundaries with your time. Stop replying instantly. Stop being emotionally available 24/7. Fill your schedule with things that grow you, not with waiting for her. Become scarce, not by faking it, but by actually being a man on a mission. A man who has things to build. A man who cannot be pulled away from his goals for someone else's temporary attention. And the beauty is this. When you live this way, she will chase. But even if she doesn't, you win, because your energy goes back into building you, into creating a life that commands respect with or without her. And the man who understands this truth never begs again, because he realizes that the chase isn't about her, it's about him. And the more he respects his own time, the more the world respects it too. Number 5. Replace her with purpose. You are trapped because you have made her the mission. You have placed her in the center of your identity. You have given her the throne that should have been reserved for your vision, your growth, your legacy. And now you wonder why she treats you like an option, why she disrespects your time, why she gives you breadcrumbs when you've handed her the entire loaf. And the answer is brutal but undeniable. It's because you made her your God. Every decision you make revolves around her approval. Every mood you have depends on her reaction. Every ounce of your energy is poured into trying to keep her interested. And that is the fastest path to losing her and losing yourself. Because women are not built to be the mission. They are built to follow a man who already has one. And when she senses that your world collapses without her, she doesn't feel loved. She feels burdened. She feels the weight of your emptiness. And no matter how much she says she wants your attention, deep down, she loses respect for you the moment she becomes your only source of meaning. That's why the strongest thing you can do is rip her off that pedestal and replace her with something that doesn't vanish when she does. Your purpose. Think about it. What were you passionate about before you met her? What goals did you put aside when the relationship became your life? How much potential did you abandon because you thought love was enough? You know the answer. You quit on yourself the moment you made her the prize. And this is where your transformation begins. Not by waiting for her to come back, not by begging her to love you again, but by choosing a mission so powerful, so consuming, that whether she stays or leaves becomes irrelevant to your path. You replace her with the discipline of training your body, because a strong body builds a strong mind. You replace her with the focus of building your career, your business, your craft, because financial independence is freedom. You replace her with the daily grind of self-education, because knowledge is leverage. You replace her with the hunger of creating something that outlives you, because legacy is respect that doesn't fade. And as you pour into these things, as you redirect the obsession you once gave her into your mission, something incredible happens. Your energy shifts. You stop texting out of insecurity. You stop chasing validation. You stop caring if she replies late, if she acts cold, if she tests you, because your mind is occupied with something bigger than her emotions. And when she feels that shift, when she realizes she no longer controls your focus, that your attention is earned by effort, not given by default, that your validation comes from your achievements, not her approval, her behavior changes. She becomes curious again. She wonders why you're not chasing. She questions if she still has access to you. And the irony is this: the moment you replace her with purpose is the moment she starts chasing you again. But by then, you don't even need her to, because you've already built a life so full, so meaningful, so grounded, that she becomes a part of it, not the center of it. And if she chooses not to follow, you don't collapse, because your world doesn't revolve around her anymore. This isn't about ignoring her, mistreating her, or acting like she doesn't matter. It's about putting her in the rightful place, a companion, not a mission. Because the man who lives for a woman loses both himself and her, but the man who lives for his purpose gains both himself and her respect. So write down your goals, break them into steps, execute relentlessly, train daily, build something you can be proud of. Stop waiting for her to validate your existence. Stop wasting your potential to keep someone entertained. Replace her with purpose, and watch how your entire life transforms. Because once you do, you'll never beg again. You'll never feel powerless again. You'll never question your worth again. And you'll never let anyone, woman or otherwise, become more important than the mission you were born to fulfill. That is when you stop being disposable. That is when you become undeniable. That is when you finally take your life back. If you're tired of being the man who begs, explains, and loses himself just to keep a woman interested, then today is the day you stop. Because no woman should ever be your mission. Your mission is you. And if you felt every word of this, then you're ready for the Stoic Relationship Blueprint for Men, linked right now in the comments. It's a life-changing guide that will hardwire you with the principles to never lose respect, attraction, or yourself again. Once you grab it, it's yours forever. A weapon in your pocket you can turn to anytime life and relationships test you. So comment, "No more begging." If you're ready to rise, smash that like button and subscribe to help more men escape years of pain and wasted time.